Okay, so now I did do the other side of the model so that it was a bit more, had a bit more symmetry. And I took out the top edge loop that was protruding just because I didn't want it. But the things I want to think about now is I kind of want to position this robot because ultimately I do want to print this out. Now, I can't impress upon you enough to save drafts of this because it's the best way to, the easiest way to go back to it. So I'm going to save what I have now, okay, as my robot 5. And I'm going to do a save as now, and I'm going to call it robot position 1. Okay, that way I've labeled it something that lends itself to what I'm getting ready to do. It's a robot. I'm doing a position, and this is the first position that I'm going to explore. Okay, it would work nicely to do a couple of drawings first, etc. But I just sort of want to play now. I've done so much work to parent everything, to get all these parts moving. And I want to sort of put some movement to it now and see what I have. Okay. I want to impress upon you if your joints aren't straightened, so I'm going to go show it to you in a top view. If you don't have sort of a straight, and let me get the grid out so you can see it a little bit better. Um, if you're looking at yours and you notice that your joints aren't really that straight, where you have some spheres in the back and some spheres in the front, you're going to find out that when you go to try to rotate things, it doesn't really rotate and look that good because the joints are kind of put in a little wonky. That's a natural thing that happens when you first start doing this, but it does give you an opportunity to save what you have and try it again until you can get this sort of nice straight edge there. That's going to help you the most once you start positioning it, because we're positioning it off based off of these spheres and the fact that they're not oblong egg shaped, they're perfectly round, and that they're positioned in the center. So that's going to allow me to move this and get some great movement. If you find that your movement is a little wonky, there's nothing wrong. It just means that you learned how to do this, save it, and then I would rebuild it, rebuild the robot. I know you hate me, from scratch again, so that you can get a better model, so that when you start positioning it, you get something that you're happier with. Okay. If that said, if what I said to you makes you happy and say, yeah, you're right, let me do that robot again, because I know I can do it better now that I've done it once, I can do it again faster and better. You're absolutely right. If when you hear me talk about this, you're saying, are you kidding? It took me so long to do the first one. Oh my God. That just means you need a break. Take a 30-minute break, take a 10-minute break, take an hour break, take a whole day, take whatever you need so that you can relieve that frustration, because you want to have a positive perspective about modeling. And if you start feeling a little angst and angry, it just means you need a break. It doesn't mean that you hate modeling. It just means that you've done enough for a little while. Go do something else and come back to it when you feel that you're recharged and rejuvenated and ready to do some more. Okay. So I'm just prefacing what I'm getting ready to do next, because if your joints are all over the place, or your spheres are all over the place and they're not positioned well, this part is not going to be fun for you. Okay. So if you're up and ready to go, great. I'm getting ready to start. But if it's not, you can watch, you can even try with a bad model, but don't get upset. If you start getting upset, just take a break. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my perspective mode, my perspective view. I'm going to hide the grid for now, just so that it's not in my way. And I'm going to start using my rotation tool on um, my shoulders and on my wrists because I just simply want to do a stance, if you will. I want to do a stance and positioning because I'm going to really prepare this for a 3D print. Okay, and so I could do this and animate it and then find a precise moment and print that. But for now, all I really want to do is do sort of a nice little positioning of this. And again, I can do one position of it and then save it and then do a save as and do another position. I could also just duplicate this object, which I'll show you that too. So I can have multiple ones on here. So all I'm doing now is positioning. I did so much work to get my character where it is now, and I'm just trying to make a point to do some nice positioning. It's a great time for me if I wanted to get um some reference material. If I wanted to do it sort of like boxers, I would just, go and get some photographs of some boxing or even a video and see if I can mimic some of those poses. Okay. And so I kind of like what I'm doing. So I'm gonna hit save. Now, again, I mentioned to you that I'm planning to do 3D prints of this. Okay. So there's things I want to really pay attention to. I want to make sure that my objects are touching. This right here, it doesn't look like it's touching that much. So I should probably bring it down a little bit before I try to print it. Um, but I want to make sure they're touching. What will happen if they're not, sort of inside of each other? What will happen is it will print, but after the print, it will sort of fall. I'll have to connect them with like a glue or an epoxy. Okay, it's not that much of a big deal, but I'll have to connect it with an epoxy type of a glue to put them together versus them printing all in one piece. Okay. Okay. Now, when I talk about printing this, I can print it without it being on a pedestal or something to sit on. But what we will quickly find out about um, um, objects in physical space is something called gravity, right? And so we need to understand gravity because this may not stand up straight up and down because I'm angling things. So if I want to be careful and build a platform for it, I can simply build it in here. I can get a piece of wood in real space too, but then I'd have to cut it and everything. And here I don't have to. I can just I don't, I can just scale it instead of pulling out a saw, right? And so now I'm going to take the whole thing, use the move tool, bring it slightly up. Um, and again, I'm on the main chord joint now. Okay. And I can just begin to, again, position it. Oh, I must have duplicated that. I was looking at this going, why is this here? But I must have duplicated the leg without realizing it. Interesting. So I'm pulling it out of the way because, and then I'm gonna open it up. On my lower. So sometimes things like this happen. This is actually a really great happy accident because I'm looking at this along with you saying, why is this here? And so I see my ankle here, and then I see, ah, so it looks like there was, so let's see. Yeah, it looks like something got duplicated. And this is something that sometimes happens. And you always want to check yourself. So really is this, oh, look at that. So I must have duplicated the whole leg. I did. So see how the right is here. So all of that. So I'm gonna do some undos here just to get some things back in place. See if I can get them back in place, which I have now. And so what I'm gonna do is take out, make sure that you guys can see. See where it says right hip joint 1? It just simply means that I duplicated this at some point and probably clicking on a shortcut, I just duplicated it. So I'm going to middle mouse button click and I'm going to bring it out. See that one line? And now I'm going to go select it and go to display and watch what happens when I say hide selection. See how that's gone now? It's still here, but what happened was I must have had the hip joint selected and done a shortcut of duplicate. See that right there? And not realized it. So I'm gonna hit delete on that one because I don't need it. But actually, let me do it again so you can see it. So there's the right hip joint. And if I duplicate that by mistake, what that means is when I click on the hip joint here, see how there's another leg right there? It's because I just duplicated it. So I don't want that. So I just got rid of it. The other one I just put up here, but I hid it so it's just not in my way. Because I was wondering what was happening. I thought that was so strange that I'm sitting here moving this and then I'm seeing another version of it, which is not what I wanted to do. Okay, so now that that mischief is managed, I can play a little bit more with the angling. I'm going to go back up to the, not the lower, but the upper, and I'm going to tilt it a little bit. I think I had it. Yeah. And I can go to the lower and tilt it the other way. Okay. So I'm just doing some angling and stuff so that I can put this on the platform. Um, okay. Now, at some point, my measurements are going to be critical. And I'll talk to you all about that later. We could have been doing our measurements all along, but I'm just trying to take us one step at a time. Now that I have this platform, I could put all kinds of things on here. I could add some more spheres. If I want to, I could fashion a little puppy. Um, I could do a whole lot of things. It's up to you. So I could make this platform more visually interesting, right? Where I can put more things on it. So all I'm doing is duplicating now and putting more um, spheres on it. Okay, so you see me sort of building this. Let me show you something. I'm going to select one of the spheres and hold down the shift to select the last one. And I'm going to duplicate it because I can have multiple of all of these spheres. Need to group them. Let me group them. So I'm going to do a shortcut for group. Group is here. So when you have everything selected, a lot of multiple objects selected, you can hit group here. And I did the shortcut for group. And I'm going to do a center pivot on that group so that the pivot is down here. And then I'm going to rotate. Okay. So the only reason why I did that is to get more texture on this. And since I have these here, I'm going to middle mouse button click, and I'm going to drop all of those inside of that other group just so that they're all together. And when I duplicate that group, yes, I get all of those again, which will shorten allow me to do this a little bit faster than if I was just doing it one at a time. Now the articulation of it and some of the choices that I might make will feel more grouped, but it allows me to going to select both of those groups and hit duplicate now and get my move tool and move it like this, just so that I can get sort of a massive amount of them. And I'm just doing that so I can get some visual interest here, right? And I might even go ahead and do some more cubes there as well, because right now I just have spheres. But I can continue to sort of design this in a way that's visually interesting to me. They're all around the same sizes, but I could do some of them larger or smaller, right? That's my choice. Just to make some things visually interesting. Okay. Something else that I want to show you is the type tool, which is here. And it is also under create right there. So if I click on type, what happens is Maya brings in some type for me. Now I don't have to keep that type, but I want to show you what's going on in attributes editor, which is right here. So it says 3D type, and it's like, oh, that's cool, but maybe I don't want it to say that. Maybe I want it to say robot, right? And I could have it say something else more interesting, but it's a robot, and you can see how I just went right from type and type that in. And now I'm going to reduce the size of that and get my move tool and begin to move it to where I actually want to put it. And I want to put it in the front. Okay. Now you can do a whole model off of just text, but um, um, I'm with this one, I'm doing the model and it has some text to it. It's not, the whole thing isn't made up of text. So I'm just scaling this so it'll fit in here. I could have separated it so that all of the letters were separate from each other. They don't have to be with each other. I can just be separate. I just click on separate versus combined. Scale this a little bit more. Okay. So I'm now starting to get this. I could have put robot on the chest of it, or I could put all kinds of things on here. So again, I can continue to make it and individualize it. I can take this robot that I've been making here, and I can just duplicate the whole robot, get my move tool and move it out of there, right? And I can do a different position, right? And I can put all of it on one platform, or I can have multiple platforms. So if I put it on one platform, I would just make this platform bigger, right? So it could fit another um, object, another robot, okay? And then I could take this, let me move it over a little bit more, and I can position it differently than it's positioned now, right? I could have the robots sparring together, right? But again, I can also just get some visual reference to give me some ideas of how I want to position this robot. So I want to do it so it's enough difference so that if I have them all positioned together, they look different. And again, this is a test. What I would do is what I've mentioned if I was gonna continue to work on this, I would really get some reference. If I wanted it to feel like boxing, I would get some boxing poses so that I could really see some, so that when people see it, it references them right back to boxing because they've seen it. They've seen boxers box this way. Okay. And it helps show me the particular stance better. Because right now I'm just guesstimating. I am doing some brainstorming. Okay. So notice how I am positioning it so it looks very different from the other one, from the other position, right? Open this, let's do the upper, lean it back some. Okay. And then I can do another one. Duplicate, get the move tool, and bring that all the way over to the other side. And I can model that. And before you know it, I have something that's unique to me, right? I would keep working. I might put some more spheres down here. I might put a combination of spheres and cubes down here if it fancies me, or I might do the text tool multiple times and do a bunch of text down here. I can do whatever I want to do. It's my model. Okay, but I'm wanting to sort of show you how I just used a cube and a sphere. I mainly have just been rotating, moving, and scaling these simple first step tools to really begin to create something. So I didn't just use these basic tools. I also learned how to label and parent. Okay, the parenting is what allowed me to rotate and move these objects around. Okay, so this is something that I want you to take a look at and try to see if this is something that you might want to do in preparing your model for a 3D print, right? Okay, I'm going to do a few more other examples of what other ideas to set up a model for print. I'm going to do some more text, and then I'm going to do some paint effects so that you can see that you can use those tools as well to prepare to design a model to print. And then I'm going to do a final video that shows you how to prepare your model for the printer, because we have to do a series of steps to do that. But first, we're just designing the model to be printed. Okay, so I'll do one more video that gives you some more ideas. All right, see you in the next video.